Hello, Rovers fans, and welcome to another live edition of On the Other Side from Rovers Chat. The games are coming thick and fast at the moment, which means we're pushing out all of these live streams and we're digesting all of those match reports and everything. So no sooner as we've enjoyed a 4-0 victory away at Coventry City, we're on to the next one. So it's the turn, of course, of table toppers Reading this evening. And I'm delighted to be joined by Paul Mann from the ElmParkRoyals podcast. How are you, Paul?
Good. Top of the league, Ryan. So I've got to be enjoying it, haven't I?
Absolutely. You savour that, of course. So before we start, it's just a reminder, everyone, we are sponsored by 6yardsout.com. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below. Yeah, thanks once again to 6yardsout.com for sponsoring us. Please go and check them out if you haven't. There's lots of brilliant Rovers merchandise on there and other clubs as well, Paul, if you want to check them out as well. So Rovers fans, as ever this evening, with this one being live, please do hit us with your comments this evening. If Paul or myself mention anything tonight, or you want to ask any of us or the two of us some questions, hit them in that comments box and we will pick them up through the show. If you are not following the Rovers Twitter account, Rovers_chat on Twitter, please give us a follow. And of course, please subscribe to the Rovers Chat YouTube channel to stay up to date with all things Rovers and Rovers Chat, and you will get all of the content as and when it's pushed out. So, Paul, let's kick off with the match preview. We have got to start with Reading's start to this season. 6 wins, 1 draw, 1 goal conceded, and equaling the best ever start to a championship season. Be honest with me, did you expect this?
100% no. No way. I don't think it's, I mean, there's obviously really optimistic Reading fans who always believe this is going to happen. But when we changed the managers so soon to the start of the season, no one expected it. No, definitely not. It was a complete and utter amazingly good shock.
Yeah, and you've just mentioned the manager there. I hope I'm going to pronounce his name right. Veljko Paunovic. He seems to be keeping up the trend of young, foreign, fairly unknown managers within the championship. You know, if you consider people like Daniel Farke at Norwich and David Wagner at Huddersfield, Thomas Frank at Brentford, you know, they've all had some success at this level. Can you tell us a bit about Paunovic and what he seems to have brought, and also what's changed?
Well, he's got a bit of a history with the under-20 team in Serbia. He won the World Cup with them. Kind of worked in the MLS as well for Chicago. Kind of before that, though, before he was announced, no Reading fans had probably ever heard of him, unless there was that one fan who watched the MLS. He's changed our defensive shape so much. We've got a double pivot now, and it makes a huge difference. Maybe that was brought on us by John Swift being injured, but we just look more combust in the midfield. We look like we actually care, and that sounds bad supporting the team. That was a passion that was really missing for the last 2-3 years. I'd say we could play well for 2 or 3 games and that was it. But everyone in the team seems to know their role now. And that's been massively helped by Lucas João being fit. He's the fulcrum of the whole team, really.
Yeah, we'll come on to Lucas Howe a bit later in the show. Obviously, a big Rovers connection there. So you've mentioned there about bringing that passion back, bringing that caring back. That's certainly something as Rovers fans we can relate to. Mowbray has certainly brought a squad together that seems to want to play. And we also had that time in the championship where it was just anyone and anything brought together. Is it all down to the manager though, Paul? Or have you managed to buy or indeed keep some good players within your squad? And, you know, tell me a bit more about what happened in pre-season.
Well, yeah, a lot of it is down to the manager and the way he set us up. But we also managed to get Ovia Jaria back from Liverpool last season on a permanent deal, which was a massive thing for us. We also got Josh Laurent from Shrewsbury Town, and he's really helped the team massively in midfield. I wouldn't say he's an incredible passer or anything along that. I'd say he's a similar type of player to Tom Tribal, who's at Blackburn. He's not going to score you 10 goals a season from midfield, but he'll do all the dirty work and anticipate danger. And we've also seen the rise of Omar Richards in left wing, back, fullback, whichever system we want to play. And he's been magnificent so far. If you just look through his stats, he's one of the best players in the Championship so far.
And is Omar Richards one of your own, or has he come from another youth academy somewhere? One of your own, yeah?
Yeah, it's from our own academy, yeah.
Sure. So if we look at your results in a bit more detail then, Paul, despite us saying that it's a surprising start, actually, I think there's 3 games in there that before the season you would have thought you would have won. Rotherham, Wycombe and Barnsley all at home. You'd probably expect to win those ones. But then you have had some impressive wins at home to Watford, away at Cardiff and away at Derby. What's the view from Reading fans about your form? Do you think it's sustainable?
We're not going to stay on this form. This is crazy form. I mean, we had the 106 points. At this rate, we'd be looking at 130. So there's absolutely no way we're going to do that. We have many doubters in the Reading fan base and outside, including Ryan from the second tier, who's been quite controversial on it, supposedly. But I don't think we're going to sustain it. But I'm now more confident that we could be in that kind of group just below the playoffs and pushing for it. And you don't know, if you're lucky with injuries, you get a few players in January, we could be one of those surprise teams, but we're not going to be a Charlton and drop off completely. I can't see that.
No, and you're right. I think luck plays a big part. When you look at the sides that have gone up, I think I could name them. Every season they've gone up, they've got that settled 11, especially a settled back 4 that allows them to build forward. So absolutely, if you had that luck, then why not? So if we move on to the game itself then, Paul, what do you think Reading's approach is going to be in this game? This is a game that sees Rovers, we're the highest scorers in the division, and Reading, who've got the meanest defence. So do all roads point to Reading coming and sitting back, soaking up that pressure, or is it going to be a bit different?
0-0. Let's not bother watching. That's what it's going to be, isn't it? No, I think we're going to have a real big change in the way that we've been playing. Because for the last 3 matches, we've played teams Middlesbrough, we played Wycombe, and then Rotherham. They all kind of play the same style of not long ball, but they don't really do much in midfield that much. So I think obviously against a team like Blackburn, it's going to be very different. And the teams that we've played that have more of that midfield play, we've actually done better against. If you high press us, we struggle because we don't do very well against that. But you have to sustain it for the whole game. We're very good at just dealing with it, giving away no chances. I can't see many teams creating more than 2 chances against us. So tomorrow night will be a real massive test for us. And I know most Reading fans are really kind of nervous and slightly excited about it.
Yeah, and the high press is certainly something that Mowbray's been setting us up to play a bit more footballing wise, but the high press on Saturday from a Rovers perspective was absolutely sensational. We were excellent on Saturday. Whether we've got the legs to actually do it again on Tuesday night is another thing, but certainly the high press might feature again then. But if you do sit back, we have struggled to break sides down at Ewood Park. So let's see. So if we just look a bit more at some of the stats supporting the game then, Paul, we've spoken about XG and things like that. Reading appear to be a side that, based on those measures, XG, shots on target in the game, you're so clinical, absolutely clinical. Won 3-0 on Saturday, for example. So is that going to be the game plan? Soak up the pressure, stay in the game, and then get that one big chance?
Yeah, I can't see anything but that. We're very, very good on the counter-attack. If Elise comes back into the team, which I suspect he will, Zhao will probably start as well. You combine that with Mate and Ejaria, you've got threats there. They can see a pass. They can also cut through. They can go past players, 2 of them, Elise and Ejaria. So I'll be amazed if we come out and take you on straight on. I think we're going to sit back a bit and just wait. We don't need many chances with what we've got up front. We've got the firepower there at long last.
Yeah, and certainly our last home game, Nottingham Forest, they did exactly the same as that. They stayed in the game and then bang, they got a deflected goal in stoppage time. So making me slightly nervous with that one. So formation-wise, you've mentioned Lucas Howe there. How are you set up in an attacking sense?
Attacking sense seems to be 3. It seems to be Ejaria, Elise, or Mate, and then Zhao up top on his own normally. And then you've got the midfielders joining. You've also got Josh Lorrett and Rinamoto sat as the 2 deep midfielders, but one of them will push on at some point. And you've got the fullbacks who will definitely push right up. You're going to have Estevez, who looked really good, a signing we've got from Porto on loan. He looked exceptional. And we've got Omar Richards on the left. So I think there's real potency in the team now and the ability to defend. So I'd be really fascinated to see how it goes.
Yeah, indeed. If we ignore Lucas Howe for now, because I'm going to come on to him in a moment, who are the danger men for Reading tomorrow?
If Elise starts, he's a real threat, and Mate, once he hits form, he goes through a run and he'll score goals in a kind of like succession of matches. And the goal he scored against Rotherham on Saturday, the kind of scissor kick, was sensational. And that's something that he didn't really have in his game until recently. So I think those two players are going to be the biggest threat to you, Elise and Mate.
Yaku Mete is someone who I know a bit more about, but Elise, could you just tell us a bit more about him and where you got him from and things like that?
Yeah, sure. He came through our academy. He was at other Premier League team academies before. He had a bit of a frustrating season last season, didn't really get a lot of game time. But this season, he's really moving on. He's got the final pass. He's only 18, so he's still got a long way to go. Got a little bit of pace. He's got the kind of good footwork, technically very, very good, and can pivot around a player very quickly. He can go past the player with ease and find another teammate. So I don't think he's going to be at Reading that long, to be honest. I think it's one of those players who's going to move on. And
is he right or left, or do you switch it with Mate? And
normally right, but he can switch either way, and he can go central. We kind of rotate a little bit between those three within the game, so we know they won't stick rigidly in those positions. So that makes it difficult for the opposition.
Sure. Well, I think you painted a good picture there, Paul, that, despite everyone talking about the fact that you're not having many chances and obviously taking them very clinically, actually, you've suggested a 4 there that are very potent at this level. So something for Rovers to watch out for. And if you've got areas of weakness that Rovers could try to exploit, what is that going to be?
As I said earlier, the high press. If you do that against us, I'm pretty sure with your quality, you're going to get some chances. I'd be amazed if you don't, because as you said, we've faced teams we probably should have beaten. There's only 2 real standout results, I would say, that we've had. So we need to play some teams of actual real quality. So I would say chances in the area. If we sit back too much, surely by probability, you're going to get a shot away. And you've got the quality there in Harvey Elliott. You've also got Douglas on the set pieces. I can see chances for you.
Yeah, sure. And in terms of, I was looking for the Rovers Reading links before the game. Unless there is something buried in the career of some people, I think Lucas Howe is one of the only links there. Sadly for Rovers, he did join us on loan at a time when we were fighting relegation, and ultimately we were relegated in that season. But he was a player that Mowbray seemed to like. Is he still that unpredictable, enigmatic type of player that Rovers saw, or has he added a little bit more to his game now?
This season, he's been very consistent. On the previous season, he was exactly the player that you've just mentioned. So we don't know, is he going to continue this? And more importantly, is he going to stay fit? But you don't know what you're going to get. But when he's on form, he's magnificent. He's one of the best strikers in the Championship. His technique and his ability to hold up and score goals is pretty devastating, really.
Sure. And if we just take a little flip onto Rovers then, what do you make of Rovers, not just this season, but in general? What's your view of us so far?
You're definitely a team and a club that's progressing now. I saw that at the end of last season. It was when we played you in the 4-3 game, which was another crazy one. I can see that you're moving in the right direction. And the fact is you haven't even got Bradley Dack back yet. So I know you're sat in 10th, but that doesn't really mean too much at the moment. You've got the form, you'll push on. So I'm going to say Blackburn are going to get in the playoffs.
Excellent. Well, I like the sound of that. We've got a few questions that have come in, Paul. So I will just say hello to Dizzy Thumbs from Tasmania, 7 a.m. here. Thank you for tuning in from Tasmania, Dizzy Thumbs. Excellent that you're joining us for this video. We've still got to go to bed. You're going to work. So thank you for joining us from across there. So we've got a question here that actually links into my previous one, just to you there, Paul, from Matt Lansley, 97. Has the Rovers start been as good as it looks from the outside?
I don't know, really. That's kind of hard to know, isn't it? I think it's probably one more for you, isn't it, Ryan, really? Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken a lot. I guess, what are Reading making of Blackburn? I think.
What am I making of it? I mean, I think they're a team, like I just said, I think they're going to be up there in the top 6. And I just feel like they're going in the right direction. And with Mowbray, you've got a manager who knows the Championship inside out. He's not going to have any issues there, is he? He's going to push you forward. And I just think it's a club that kind of a little bit has that amazing era in the 93 era, and obviously incredible times. and it hasn't quite been able to get away from that. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to, but it's always slightly in the shadow, isn't it? It's like we've got the 106 team, and it slightly overhangs the whole club.
Yeah.
You love having it, but nothing can come near it again, can it? That's the problem.
Yeah, that was you had Jason Roberts as well, didn't you, in that season? Yeah, so I remember that one. Paul, we've got another question, which is most certainly for you, from Jacob Ward. Do you think Reading will be in the top 2 come the end of the season? If not, where do you think they'll place and why?
No, we won't be in the top 2. I'd love to believe that, but I mean, I'm happy to be wrong. But at the moment, I'm going to say we're going to be in that playoff spots just below, kind of like between 6th and 9th. But I hope I'm wrong and we get in there.
Well, I had us 9th, Rovers 9th before the season started. So you're thinking maybe in that kind of near, but not so far. We do have the question from Dizzy Thumbs in Tasmania. Hi, Paul. Has Reading kept the same starting lineup this season? Many changes from week to week?
Not many changes at all. We make a couple, 3 at most, and it's very, very consistent. One change that we made quite a lot is bringing in George Puskas and giving Lucas Jow a bit of a rest because he's a bit fragile. So I think that we won't see many changes. I think you see Lucas Jow come back tomorrow, and that'll be about the changes we made. Just
on George Puskas, actually, I remember seeing him in the under-21 tournament for Romania, and I think he got a couple of goals against England, didn't he, in that tournament? Has he lived up to the hype that came with that transfer? Because I think it was a bit of a coup for you, wasn't it, to get him in the first place?
He kind of has. I mean, if you look at his season last season, I think he ended up with 13 goals, which you got to say, that's not a terrible start. I find him a little bit frustrating at the first, but he has improved on it. His technique isn't very good. When you pay that much money for a striker, you expect maybe a little bit better. So I wouldn't say he's been a flop at all, but I think there's room for improvement.
He's still young, though. Was he 21, 22?
Yeah, 22, 23. Yeah, I think he's one of the oldest in the 21 team.
Yeah. And just to add on a little bit to one of the previous questions from Ellis Dixon. So you've already told us where you think Reading will finish. So let's just add on a little bit of a flavour, Paul. How long are you going to keep this run on for?
Oh, it's going to last definitely tomorrow. There's not going to be a problem.
Well,
I'll scan you.
We'll be doing the prediction shortly. Rovers fans, before we do finish this video, please give us your predictions in the comments box. We'll be ending the stream in not so long a time. Paul has given you a really good insight about Reading. Been a lot of comments and a narrative about Reading this season that they don't have many chances. You know, they're being very clinical. They don't deserve to be up there. I think I've heard from some quarters. Actually, I think Paul's painted a really good picture that they've got a manager that's come in and really stabilised that defence. They've got a front four that at this level are pretty potent. So what are your predictions based on where Rovers are at and what Paul has told you? We've got a few of them coming in. So, Paul, whilst the Rovers fans are commenting on this game, can you hit me with 2 predictions? The first is for this game, and then I'm going to get it absolutely crystal. I want a position from you. Where are you going to finish this season? So let's start with the game first.
I'm going to say 2-1 win to Reading. I think you'll score, but I do believe that we'll get the chances.
Yeah. This one is such a... I'm so conflicted on this game because it's like the in thing for Rovers fans to say this season is we don't like teams that sit back and, you know, and we have to break them down. And the last game against Nottingham Forest and then the game before that, the 0-0 against Cardiff, they were 2 sides that just said, all right, come and break us down. And ultimately Reading are top for a reason. So there's just that little niggle that I've got in my head that we might not do it again, despite the result on Saturday. But I need to be positive. I can't sit here and predict a draw. So I'm going to say 2-1 Rovers in our favour. But it's not going to be as easy as that, just with the previous 2. So, Paul, let me have a position out of you. Where are you finishing this season? Come on, put a flag to the mast.
I'll do it 8th.
8th?
Yep.
Excellent. You're a man of honour. So if we look at some of the predictions that we've had coming through, we've got Brian, come on you Blues, 3-1 Rovers. Ellis Dixon, 2-1 Rovers. Leap Year Man, would love to see 2-1 Rovers, but gut feeling is a tight 1-1. Yeah, Leap Year Man, that's kind of what's going through my head, but I just couldn't have on record a 1-1 draw. I've got to go positive, but it would not surprise me if it's a 1-1 draw. Matt Lansley, 97, 2-1 Reading, who I'm assuming is a Reading fan. So each to their own. And any other predictions? Yes, we have got Churchy 1871, going to be the toughest game for us, Reading, so far, apart from Watford, 2-1 win either way or 1-1. Well, that's entirely consistent with what we've said. Mark Whittle, 1-0 either way or 1-1. And Dizzy Thumbs, 2-0 Rovers. So I'm getting a sense from those comments that Rovers fans, we do know that Reading is going to be a tough game for us and it's not going to be an easy one. I'm just going to come back to another question that we've had. Mark Whittle, does Paul think this will be Reading's most difficult game of the season so far?
Yes, I'm confident on that. I just look at what you've got in your team and the form that you're in. I know the team we played on the weekend, Coventry, had 10 men, but you still haven't beaten 4-0. You can't dismiss that. You've done the job and you've kind of like dismissed them. So yeah, I'm really confident that this will be the most difficult game, and that's why I'm the most nervous about it.
If we get near the levels that we had on Saturday, even though it was 10 men, just the way we set up and that press in particular, we were absolutely sensational on Saturday. So if we get anywhere near that on tomorrow night, then, you know, it could be a tough game in that sense for Reading. Matt Lansley, going to be very close, very tough game, and will be very close, but good luck for the game and for the season. So yeah, absolutely. I'll just monitor the comments. Yeah, Reading, it's going to be a tough game, but also good luck to Reading. You know, it's a great success story that you've just come from nowhere. No one fancied you, and all of our predictions, I can guarantee that across, you know, things like 442 magazine and all of the websites and pre-season stuff, Reading would have been nowhere in terms of the playoffs and the top two. And absolutely hats off to you for doing that and playing in a way that's working for you. So, Rovers fans, unless there are any other comments, we will end the live stream there. Paul, thanks ever so much for giving us a really good insight on Reading, on your manager, and your successes this season. I've certainly got the sense that it's fully deserved. You've set up from the back first and foremost, and you've got those tricky, quick players in that front four area that can hurt teams. So, you know, absolutely there on merit. So yeah, thank you, Paul. Really good insight. Rovers fans, please remember to check out our sponsor, 6yardsout.com. Do follow us on Twitter, Rovers_chat, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rovers Chat as well. And within this video, we have linked through to your podcast, Paul. Did you want to just tell us a little bit about the stuff you do at your end?
Yeah, we do live match podcasts and things like that after the game, just like you do as well. And it's a site that we've been running for 3 years, and it's all Reading FC. So come and join us if there's any Blackburn fans that are interested. Probably not that many.
Good stuff. We've got a little comment here. We'll sneak this one in. Leap year, man. What do Reading have to come from the bench to change the game if required? That's a great question, actually.
That's a good. Now, that is a little bit of a worry. I have to say, on Saturday, it was very good because we had Elise to come on and Jow. But the strength and depth is a concern. So you may have hit me right at the end there, Libya. That was not for any question. It is a bit of a worry coming off the bench. Yeah, we've had quite a few injuries with John Swift being out, Yadden being out. So, yeah, it's a concern.
Yeah, and it's actually a concern Rovers have had for quite a while at championship level. And it feels like this window is the first window where we have options. We've pretty much, maybe apart from centre-back, we've got a couple of players per position and players that are good performers at championship level. So I think from a Rovers perspective, we're really looking forward to having that squad that can compete throughout the whole season. So yeah, that's filled me with a bit more confidence that that you've not got much off the bench, as it was for Leap Year Man, who's commented, I was hoping to hear that. So that's good. And then we've had one more prediction from Michael. An early goal for any team will open it up, 4-2. And then Yin Bennett, just to finish off, tomorrow has got to be the toughest test so far. I think we're all in agreement for both sides. It's going to be the toughest test. I think Rovers underestimate Reading at our peril, and certainly you are a dangerous side that if you get a chance, you will take it. And then likewise, obviously, we've heard plenty from you, Paul, that suggests that you're not taking Rovers lightly either. So I will call it a day there on the comments and everything else. Please check out 6yardsout.com, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you pre-match tomorrow in advance of the team news. and then post-match for the reaction as well. So we will see you tomorrow, Rovers fans. Paul, thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon. Thank you.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.